If you don't want to get fat in December, this episode is for you. The title of today's podcast, Socialise in December Without Getting Fat, is pretty brutal. Some might say a little bit clickbaity. However, I firmly believe that this is the month when most people will put on the most amount of weight in a given month across a calendar year. The only other months that might rival that would be summer, some holidays. But from my experience, having coached for a number of years, December is the danger month when people overeat, drink or both, and move less, train less. And as a result, that math unfortunately doesn't add up. And the problem with that is people who do this kick off January feeling like shit and then give themselves a mountain to climb, and are often the same people who say, new year, new me, this is a year I'm truly going to get control of my health, fitness, body weight, shape, whatever the expectation and goal looks like for you. So if you are someone who has never really mastered socializing without sabotage in December, or wake up 1st of January feeling guilty, maybe 2nd of January, right? Because we all need to let loose on New Year, or most people do. Then the logic that I'm going to present to you on maybe a different way to attack and manage your December, I think might help you. Because if you're new to the podcast, I have been in shape now for best part, well, my whole life, but my adult life has been nearly best part of 3 decades. And that is while still socializing every single December, drinking alcohol every single December, eating whatever I want within reason every single December. And during the Christmas week in particular, that is one week where I just naturally want to be a bit more relaxed with my food and let my brain breathe a little bit in terms of structure. But what allows me to do that whilst still staying in shape, and what allows our clients who are disciplined and who implement this process also still stay in shape, is really managing your December with logic, and more importantly, managing your expectations. I firmly believe that one of the reasons people really struggle with consistency in December is they do not manage their expectations. There is a total disregard for forward planning, even though, especially business owners and entrepreneurs, from my experience, definitely forward plan and make sure they hit end of year targets with business. They don't do the same principles when it comes to health, fitness, body, and in particular food and alcohol. So the one main point I want to hammer home today is evaluate from now, and this is the end of November, so you can do it from now, or if you really want to be OCD, the very start of December. The biggest advice I can say is take some time to really evaluate how many actual social occasions where there is a risk of really over-consuming food or alcohol there are from the start of December to the end of December, basically the new year. What do I mean by that? If we be really honest about this, why people put on so much weight across the calendar year, but in particular in December, it's not down to the food that they prep themselves at home. It's down to what they choose to eat at restaurants, at parties, special occasions. And so often, the food choices and the alcohol temptation is out of our control in terms of the choices we have available. But there's a big difference between having choices available and then actually choosing to consume the food and alcohol that's available. And I think if you don't get clear in your mind of, one, the total amount of social occasions you have, two, get really clear in your mind of which specific social occasions you want to give yourself permission to eat a bit more than you usually would, or drink a bit more alcohol than you usually would. And then on the other side, if you don't really evaluate from those social occasions, which social occasions am I going to purely out of habit, that deep down in my heart, I don't really want to eat lots of food at that social occasion. It might be a different group of peers, different group of colleagues or friends or family, and it's just a habitual event or social occasion that, given the choice, you wouldn't want to over-consume food, booze, or both. And I think if you can really, really simply map out the exact dates, the exact days, the exact times and places that you are going to be socializing, you can then, as the next step, really break down which are the actual occasions that I really want to celebrate my year, enjoy great food, enjoy more drink, and which occasions do I not want to do that. Because from my experience, the people who struggle, the ones where just that fuck it mentality comes out, where it's sort of like the all or nothing. And I think the problem is habitual. There's habitual patterns and places and times of the year, venues around December in particular, where people, because they've been in a certain situation, a certain environment, it could be your last day at work, it could be every Friday or every Thursday, it could even be a midweek day between now and the end of the year, where just habitually you've gone out for more drinks than you usually would, as opposed to other periods of the year. You just have habitual occasions with friends, family, partners, or both, that just naturally you've eaten lots of food and drank lots of booze. So, for example, I had this conversation with a client a couple of weeks ago, and he was a little bit worried that old habits were dying hard and he didn't want to undo all the great work he's done this year. And this might relate to you. I just said to him, how many actual occasions do you think you have from now to the end of the year where there is going to be a temptation to overeat, drink, or both? And it was around, say, 12. So 12 occasions in December to keep your progress, sabotage your progress, or have some form of balance across those 12 that you can still maintain all the good work you've done across the year. And the reason I say maintain, I really believe for most people, a massive win in December is going into December as lean as you possibly can be, and then ending December in the same condition, but you still had fun. Might not be what some people want to hear. Some people might be deluded and go, no, I want to go drop even more body fat in December. Cool. If you've just kicked off your health journey, you're more likely to do that, because that's probably on the back of overdoing it and putting on weight, in the preceding months. But for most people, a win for them would be to train more consistently than what they have done previously, to eat better food than what they've previously done the last 5 to 10 Decembers, to move more than they've done the last 5 to 10 Decembers. And as we're talking about in this episode, manage their social occasions a little bit better than what they've previously done across Decembers. Okay? But just going back to what I did with my client, and I encourage you to do this too, we broke down, he had 12 occasions, and I said, out of those 12, how many occasions, hand on heart, do you really want to enjoy yourself? And, give yourself permission, because you've worked hard, you've got good food in around that, you've got structure, you paid your dues, that you want to have some fun and drink more and eat more. And it was about 6. Now, there's a big difference between having a lot of food and having more drinks than usual on 6 occasions as opposed to 12. Massive difference. It's not what people want to hear, but you can dramatically undo months and months and months of good work by completely downing tools on 12 social occasions. And I'm not saying you can't do that in 6 either, but if you do the maths, if you are being more relaxed on 6 occasions as opposed to 12, guess what? You're going to be in a much better position, having still had fun at the end of December going into next year. So what we said with this client was a massive win for him is to earn his stripes, obviously pre-post social, basically get all his sessions in, get his movement in, stick to his normal meal plan, discipline. This client in particular likes following a meal plan. 6 occasions, he lets loose a little bit. The other 6, he's not going to drink, and he is going to be more disciplined with his food on those 6 occasions, because he said, hand on heart, with no one else around, and the people who he would be at these social events with, that he, given the choice, doesn't want to drink on those other 6 occasions. So if he contradicted that, is actually fulfilling the need of the people around him at the expense of his own happiness. And guess what? Even though he might not feel it in that moment, the problem is when you do things, especially when it is around food, drink, or both, that is to fulfill a need of the people around you, and because you've caved to the pressure around you, at some point after that, that's going to hit you in the form of guilt, being lethargic with your energy, confidence, mood, because there's always a debt to pay when you overconsume food, booze, or both. So I suppose the main takeaway I want to say to you today, guys and ladies who's listening, is just literally get a pen and paper, get your notes, or just look in your calendar if you want to make it more specific. Look at the socials you've got scheduled, and just break down very logically, when am I going to drink more, when am I going to eat more, and do I really want to do that? And on those occasions when you're really going to eat and drink more, what can you do that week to make sure that you've paid your dues, you've got more energy out stored in the bank so you can handle those calories if you want to stay lean? And then on the other occasions, might be 6, might be 5, might be 3, might be 2. For many people, even just having a couple of social occasions, less in terms of handling booze, food, or both, better, is still going to put you in a bit better position in terms of your body composition and body weight at the end of the year going into the next year. So that is what I would do very logically. Okay, forward plan, all social occasions, write down the total frequency, and write down when I'm going to let loose, and when do I want to be more disciplined, when am I not going to drink, and when I'm going to choose healthier food. Okay, nothing magic about it, but it's just logic. The better you manage your food and alcohol in December, the better you're going to feel in January. And by default, you're going to start the year on the front foot. And it doesn't mean you haven't missed out on fun. Most people, and I've done this myself, there's no judgment. Years ago, I used to associate Christmas and December as the month to just literally do what you want. Because I was in the gym, I'd always stay in reasonable shape. But it would take me probably a week to 2 weeks to really get motoring with my energy in January. And if you run a business like me, you don't want to have to wait a couple of weeks before you put in foot on the gas and trying to start the year with great intentions, your new targets, your new goals. And more importantly, it's about how you feel. So that is what I would do to avoid getting fat in December without compromising your social life.